Are you living the dream? Do you know where you've been and where you're going and how it relates to your future success? Or are you stuck in a rut, not knowing the next place to go? Join us today as we talk about how you can have it all. Cue intro music now.
Hey everyone, I am Prof Sales.
Woo, and I'm Just Ask Spidery Kaaren.
Yes, it is almost Halloween here, so we've got to represent that. So welcome to the channel. This channel is about reselling. It's about being an entrepreneur. It's about selling on eBay, Amazon, e-commerce platforms. It's about mindset. It's about lifestyle, I think.
Mindset, lifeset. And it's about how success is more than just a state of mind.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And today's topic is right in line with a lot of those ideas. And I just want to point out that we have a live stream going for this show. So if you ever want to join us on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we come live and you can jump in the chat and ask a question. You can also do that afterwards, after this video post. We do our best to answer them. And comments, of course, any comment you want to make, that's cool too. And we're just glad that you're here joining us today. So welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. And we're going to continue to deconstruct all things,
right?
E-commerce. And it's funny because we get a lot of comments about, can you just tell me how to make a listing? Or can you just tell me how to take a photo? And we get a lot of the same questions, right? But we have videos where we talk about that. But a recurring theme here that I think we all, no matter where you stand on how to do this online thing, I think we can all agree that your mindset, where you're at with it all in your head has so much impact on how well you do and how well you prosper, how well you function.
No, totally agree. And, if you're not in the right frame of mind, it doesn't really matter what strategies you employ. You're never going to be that successful because you're not thinking about it correctly. Not even thinking about it correctly, just thinking about it in a way that makes sense to you. So we wanted to talk about it. Kaaren shared a pretty cool quote with me. So we're going to jump into that. And I'm going to share it with you guys. Actually, I guess it was a tweet, right, Kaaren?
It's kind of like a behind the scenes. If we showed you all the behind the scenes today, we have a spaghetti jar balancing our microphone today. But yes,
True
so
story.
The inspiration for today came from this particular tweet from somebody's sister. Not just anybody's sister.
Not just anybody's sister. So let's share that. And
I think that might be it. Is it?
Yes, that's it. Okay. So this tweet that Kaaren is referencing today is from, oh, that was no good. Sorry about that. That didn't change anything for them.
Okay.
It's from Randy Zuckerberg, who is Mark Zuckerberg's sister.
You would know him a little bit, right?
Yeah, the creator of Facebook.
Yes.
And this tweet actually came out, I guess, about 5 or 6 years ago, about 6 years ago.
Yes, we're a little late to the party here.
Yeah, and so I'm not even sure exactly where she was when she, or what had gone on to make her. That's a picture of her, Randy Zuckerberg. And this tweet came out. I'm going to blow this up a little bit so you can see it. You want to read it, Kaaren?
I do. So Randy says that the entrepreneur's dilemma is this: maintaining friendships, building a great company, spending time with family, staying fit, getting sleep. Pick 3. Oh!
Yeah, and this was from December 9th, 2011. So, I
don't know about you, but I read that and immediately I'm like, wait, what? I have to limit my choices? I want all the thingies. Like, it's not enough, in different times in our lives, I think it's easy for us to maybe focus on one of those things more than others, but I don't know about you, but I want it all. I don't want to have to exclude one to choose another.
I mean, I don't know what the chat thinks about that. And there's probably other things you could add to that list.
Oh my gosh.
She said, what, starting your business, being fit, getting sleep.
Family.
And then what was the other one? I already forgot the 5th one. Just want to make sure. Maintaining friendships, building a great company, spending time with family, staying fit, or getting sleep.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm sure there's lots more than that, but that's 5. And you have to, your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is you can only have, you're on a desert island and you can only have 3 of them. Well, you know,
Yeah,
what would your,
I'm not really sure how she came to the rationalization you can only have 3. I mean, why not just only 2, or why not 4?
or why not 1? You know, some people that kind of is a problem sometimes, right? They want to put all their eggs in the one basket.
Maybe she was suggesting, you know, you spend 8 hours a day on each one, 24 hours a day, 3 things. I don't know. I'm not really sure what her calculus was in the back end of that.
Well,
but
and depending upon where she was in her life, right?
Right.
Married, mom, because she's a mom, where she was in her career, which has taken a really interesting, you know, you might want to read up on her sometime, an interesting path.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know about you guys watching, but this idea of balance, or really, forget entrepreneur. When you're anything, like having balance in your life, period.
When you're a human.
I don't even know. Like, I wrote on our notes, I said, what does the word balance even mean? And I'm not really sure I know what it means, because you could argue that that could mean that you spend equal time on things. You spend equal amounts of energy on things. You could argue that you don't spend equal amounts, but a necessary amount to get back out of something what you want. So maybe you spend 20% over here and you spend 30% over here on something, and that's your idea of balance.
Well, you know, I immediately think of, you know, I go always off on a different tangent here, but balance for me sometimes is having those 3 things, or those whatever things, happen in concert, and have them happen in a way where everything's working at the same time, productively, positively together. You know, I might be spending more time on another, but it's just, it's all coming together, and I'm not pulling my hair out that day.
No, I would say too, and I just thought about this, I don't know if I always know what the word balance means, but if you're like me and you're listening or watching this video right now, you probably have a good idea of what the term out of balance means. Like, you recognize that when you see it. And it's easier sometimes to figure out when things aren't working than what will work for you. Because even if your life is out of balance, you know, in some way or another, you're spending so much time and energy here, but not enough here, you feel like. Sometimes it's hard to figure out how to.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's easy to identify when things are out of balance in your life. There's consequences, right?
Yep.
We were just talking about, should we use our example, our pop culture reference example I was giving you earlier?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Donnie Draper, who watches Mad Men. Oh,
apparently you don't.
I don't watch it enough.
So, you know, we'll pick a show every once in a while, and we'll spend some time watching a show. And we started watching the show Mad Men back a couple months ago. I know it came out several years ago, but whatever.
Again, we're always late to the party.
But the central character in the show, Don Draper, is an advertising man in the 1960s. And his life is out of balance. I'm not giving anything away here if you haven't ever seen the show, but his life is clearly out of balance because it is rippling through everything he does. He has turmoil at work. He has turmoil with his wife. He has turmoil with his kids. He has turmoil with his past family members. He has turmoil just everywhere.
Even with his extracurricular tumultuous stuff.
Right, because because in his mind, his idea of balance is work super hard, spend a lot of time at work, and in the process, he neglects the people that are in his life and does horrible things. I mean, I think we could say that clearly. Does things that are, you know, and they're not, and he's not happy. He's not a happy guy. I don't think anybody would say that about him.
Well, and his idea of success is, you know, feathering his nest.
Yes.
Like his idea of success is creating this shell of a house for a shell of a family.
You know what? You know what? I don't mean to cut you off, but the character last night said something amazing to him. I don't even realize it.
What?
He said, "You don't value relationships."
Oh, yeah. And that's the bottom
line. He values him. He values me. He values I, but he doesn't value we or they or anybody else. And it has tremendously negative consequences in his life.
Well, up until this point, I understand he goes through, so don't give anything away. I can't see the comments anyway in the chat, but we understand he's going to go through a big evolution over the series. So, but up to this point, he is just.
So I'm going to ask you guys a question here, and you can put in the chat if you want. We'll shout some of them out. We're not going to go through definitions of what balance means to you, but I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. We're going to ask you a couple questions. So first of all, we'll talk about this one. What is important to you? And let me frame the question like this. Not in general, but be specific, because this is where I think it breaks down. Because a lot of us will say, my job is important. My wife is important. My husband is important. My kids are important to me. My parents are important. My friendships are important. But we don't go into specifics about, well, what about them is important? Like, what is it that you are seeking to have with these people, these situations that will fulfill you and fulfill them too and bring value to them? So I want you to answer that question. And you can, if you have one in the chat, you can leave it in the chat, but even if you don't want to, it's fine. But what is important to you, and be specific about that? Because I wrote down some example, like let's say you answered your family was important to you. Okay. Now that's very general. Well, what does that even mean? Well, maybe it's spending time with them, just in general, spending time. Like you feel like I don't get to see them throughout the week. We get a little bit of time on the weekend, but it's go, 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 whatever. Maybe it's going to specific events with them. You enjoy, you know, going to a movie or going to a concert or going to sporting events or going to, you know, your kids, you know, games, you know, whatever they're playing, sports. Maybe it's taking a vacation, you know, together. Maybe it's like, hey, we go on a vacation, we have a great time. So that's important to me. Because I think if you don't get specific about this, it ends up just being words.
Well, and maybe that's maybe that's cutting a little bit too close to home for some of you. And while it might seem uncomfortable in this moment, I think we're going to challenge you to take it a step further. Like if your initial response to that, what's important to you, what matters, was my family, you know,
I like the way you said that.
That's great. But the more you drill it in, the more you drill it down to the specifics, I think, you can correct me, but I think you're going to get a lot closer to finding that balance than if you just leave it, you know,
willy-nilly. Yeah, because I can sit here and say, oh, Kaaren, you're very important to me. But suppose she asked me, how? How am I important to you?
And I do all the time.
And she does all the time. And I'm like, oh, again, still the same answer, but a little bit more. All right, so, you know, and I would challenge you to do that with any area you think you want to be a part of your everyday life, your weekly life, your monthly life, whatever it is. It could be relationships. It could be lots of things.
Well, and bring it back to right here. What brings most of us together initially is this whole eBay thing, right? Don't you dare say, well, my eBay business needs to be better. Well, you're darn right it does, if that's your only answer. How can it be better? How can you do better? How can you drill it down to, you know, be specific? Yeah.
And Aaron asked a great question. He says, what if you lost what was important? What would be next on the list? That's a great question. Because you could lose it. You could lose your job. You could lose your children, God forbid. You could lose your spouse, God forbid. I mean, you could lose family members. I mean, this is real life. So you have to think about, you know, what's important to you. And that's maybe going to be an evolution. I think it probably changes a little bit as you go through life, but there's a lot of similarities for most of us. But I was also going to say, because if you can answer this question, this is a question, you know, we were talking about earlier today. But if you can answer this question, then you can start to figure out this idea of balance. Because the second question I have for you guys today is this. So you know what's important to you. Maybe you make a list. Maybe it's 5 things. We'll just say. Now I'm going to ask you, what can you turn off so you can turn something else on? Because if you are spending your time and energy in something that is not important to you, that is time and energy you cannot spend on something that is important to you. By definition, time's the limiting variable, right? 24 hours, 7 days a week. So if you're putting all this time and energy into something that's not really important to you, what is important to you is going to suffer. It has to.
Do you remember when we started back at the beginning of this year where we were going to read books, right?
Right.
And I got through what, 2?
Yep.
And then for whatever reason, I stopped. I have a confession to make. My weakness was these little video games, right? On the phone or the iPad or whatever. So a glaring area for me was I stopped reading, and I got so much fulfillment and enjoyment and knowledge, because it wasn't only fiction or nonfiction, whatever, it was knowledgeable stuff, right?
Right.
So for me, that was an easy choice to uninclude in my day, my limited amount of time, those things that were distracting me. You know, maybe for you, it's cat videos, or you spend too much time on Facebook or whatever. And we did not forget that we gave you homework a little time back to chart your time and how you spend it. So we will get back to that at some point, not today, but look at how you're spending your time and how you could spend it better.
Absolutely. And I just think that there's a lot of things that we say are important to us, and then our words and actions don't really back that up, because we go and we spend our words and actions. I mean, think about it this way, guys. You have, and we all inherently know this, you've got like an energy reserve in you every day. Some of you have more than others, right? And you can only spend that energy, and then there's no more energy left. So what are you going to spend it on? Who are you going to spend it on? Because once that energy's gone, there's not anything left for anything else. So if you spend all that energy and that time on things that are not that important to you, you really don't have much of an argument when you say, hey, the things that are important to me are suffering. Well, they're suffering because you didn't make them important by putting your time and energy into them. I mean, that's reality. You know, it's a harsh reality, but it's a reality. So if you decide that you want to spend more time with your kids, carve out the time to do it. And I know some of you are going to say, but I can't. I'm working to support them, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But I'm going to tell you something. If you have a full bank account and an empty soul, what have you really gained? I mean, I don't think you've gained anything. And if your life is, if the people around you don't get to see you, they don't get to see you not stressed, not exhausted, not just working your fingers to the bone. And if you're having to do those things to support the people around you, you need to find a better way. Honestly, I mean, and there's lots of ways. So like what you're doing, I would argue if you are killing yourself every week and cannot spend time with your family and friends and people that love you and you love, and all these relationships are suffering, you are failing. I don't care if you've got enough money to put a roof over your house or whatever, but you're failing because it's not just about the bank account. I would argue that's like a necessary evil. I hate to call it that, but it kind of is. You know, I mean, I know it's cliche to say it, but man, if you just spend all this time on earning money and gathering wealth, but for what? What's it for? What are you going to use it for?
Well, and here's something to think about. I don't know if people really appreciate all of that, like having it all and losing it all. Like you gain a real appreciation for what's important when you reach a point where you think bank account wise or home wise or family wise, you've got everything you thought you needed or were working toward, and then it's taken away.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And you know what you speak. And Kaaren and I are dealing with some crazy family situations right now, for lack of a better word. Not crazy. They're not crazy in the sense that they're unusual. There's lots of people who deal with the same type situations. We both have some aging sets of parents and so on, and all the challenges that come with that. And we're realizing that, you have to figure out what's important to you, because taking the time and energy to deal with those situations takes time and energy away from other things. It takes time and energy away from each other. It takes time and energy away from business. It takes time and energy away from our other activities that we like to do. But it's important. So we've made the decision that those things are going to be, they're priorities. So those other things have to wait, get put on the back burner, even though, and they're going to suffer, no doubt about it. Business will suffer. Lots of other things that we normally do will suffer. We may even suffer. We have to be cognizant as a couple and say, hey, we have to be careful here, that we understand that this is a situation where it could even impact our relationship if we're not careful. Because when you're dealing with these sorts of situations, especially with, illnesses and things like that with a family, it's stressful and it can go on for a long time. It's not like it's, oh, pop a pill, cut something out about somebody. Oh, it's all fixed. It's not those kinds of situations. It's not going to be like that. It's something that's chronic and it's going to go on for a long time. So we have to be cognizant of what that can do to our relationship if we're not careful. We have to be there and be strong for each other. So this idea of balance, I mean, I think it's always in flux, right?
And it's also not something, yeah, I agree, but it's also not something that's going to take care of itself. Like you can't like juggle it all, keep it all in the air and just expect it to take care of itself. Like whatever comes up in your lives that's a challenge or that is out of balance, you really can't stick your head in the sand no matter what it is. You can only run and hide for so long before, the fact that you still need to pay your electric bill. You haven't yet. They're going to turn it off.
Right.
The fact that you've been working, 12-hour days and meanwhile your fiance is at home, and doesn't even know you anymore.
Right.
I mean, there's all these things that you just have to, I don't know, we're kind of going in a different direction here, but I mean, you just have to own it, face it, whatever it is, and be specific. I mean, that.
Yeah. And don't lie to yourself and say, because here's the danger. And going back to the Mad Men example for a moment.
Oh, I thought you were going to go Breaking Bad.
No,
I am the danger.
No, the guy, the lead character, Draper, he believes in some sense that all this time he puts into his time and into his job and his work is for his family. I would argue he's probably running from them.
Oh,
he's trying to be away from them, which is interesting how that evolved over time. And I think a lot of people do that. They say, I'm going to put all this time into building something amazing for my family to take care of them. And they realize they enjoy that more than being with their family sometimes. And that creates a whole nother set of problems that you have to navigate. And it's an easy trap to fall into. So don't necessarily think, oh, I'm just going to put so much time and energy to building my business so it can take care of us, but you're going to neglect the people that you're using it to take care of. Like that doesn't really make sense.
You're going to get to the point where those people aren't there anymore, or they are, but they've been so, whatever it is, maybe it's the people or it's, your dog or your car or your fit. I mean, it's not just your family. It's whatever the priorities are for you. If you neglect something, it's going to suffer. When you choose to spend time on one thing, and we've been a broken record of late on this point, but when you're choosing to spend time, talent, treasure on one thing, you're ultimately choosing not to spend it on another. Right. So your challenge is to, whatever the word balance means to you, is to find it and pursue it. It's just not going to take care of itself. You have to be proactive in whatever balance looks like, whatever success looks like. And we were talking about that. Like success is the thing, right? Not everyone can win. But success, that's something that we can all attain, right?
Yeah, success is always within your reach. Winning is it's sort of this weird topic that doesn't even really make sense. You don't win at life. You're successful at life, but you don't win at life. There's no scoreboard because the only score that counts is the one that's in your head, and nobody else knows what that is. I mean, only you know what you did and you can and can't do and you're capable of. But ultimately, whatever the result of your efforts is, the rest of the world sees, the people that are around you see, they feel. And if you're not taking care of those people, what they really need, not what you think they need or they want, what do they call it? The Disneyland parents and so on, or Disney World parents, when they say, oh, I'm going to win my kids' love by taking them on a trip all the time. That doesn't work.
Yeah. And for the record, that does not, nor has it ever happened around here. I'm kind of glad Ben's not here right now because he'd be like, what? There are parents out there?
There are parents that do that? Take their kids to bribe them with trips and things? Well, of course there are. And it doesn't work. I mean, that's not what we really want, inherently on the inside. So I think if you want to have this balanced life as an entrepreneur, like Kaaren said, you got to understand that being an entrepreneur is probably the least important part of that balance. And that's probably, some people are probably surprised to hear me say that, but the entrepreneurial part is theoretically what you're doing, you're using that for all the other things that you say are important. And if that's what you really believe, and that's what I really believe, then keep that in the forefront of your mind, that I'm here to take care of the other people in my life. But if my business starts getting in the way of that, I got to scale back the business so I can take care of them. You got to, or do it a different way, whatever that looks like, because you can't spend all this time and energy just working and never have any time and energy left over for the people in your life that you're doing it for. Even if it's just you, I mean, you're important too. I mean, you can't exclude what's good and healthy for you at the cost of, just spending all this time on your business. So, maybe write down some things, write down what really is important to you, whether you're single, it's just you, whether you have family, whether you have, kids, a husband, a wife, whatever, and figure it out. Like, am I really investing in those things, or am I just putting all my time and energy into being an entrepreneur at the expense of all those people?
Yep. And we're going to, you'll get nuts and boltsy, haul stuff, along the way on this channel too. Yeah. But we're going to be your voice of reason, the reminders that those things are important, right, but this other stuff arguably is more important. Like, if you don't have the rest of your stuff together, certainly you're not going to succeed in whatever other revenue stream you devote your time for. So I've got my, hold on, I know I'm making a lot of noise, but I never bring these things out anymore. So your eternal eBay cheerleader will always be here. Will always tell you that you're number one.
So that's the correct finger. And
yes, and it is, more than, you need to hear that from somebody. But, we were talking about it, like, really, we've evolved since you started. I mean, certainly you didn't have me when you first started the YouTube channel, but we think it's important to remind you, if there's anybody here that's going to be honest and just sort of be motivational, like, we mean it.
Yeah.
I mean, and we know that you need to hear it. Sorry.
No, absolutely. Thanks, Rob, by the way, for the super chat. Sorry I didn't call that out earlier.
We were just talking.
I know, he's a great friend of the show. So thank you very much for that. Much appreciated. He says he's cutting out shipping labels, time wasting, mucho sales. That's kind of funny. That came from a previous show about cutting out time. Shipping labels could be a time suck. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what he's referencing there. But yeah, so, all right, let's move on. So, Jean Guide. I just want to tell you guys that the 101 Killer Women's Jeans Brands Guide is now taking pre-orders.
It's a thing, a real thing.
We wrote it together with Steve Rakin, and it's available for pre-order at half price. So don't miss out, because that pricing is going to end in just over a week from the time of this video. There's a link down below in the description of this video to the Jeans Guide. I mean, we're really proud of it. We mentioned on Friday. I mean, if you've ever wanted to sell jeans on eBay, I think if you go through that guide, you read through all the tips in it, how to find brands, how to measure, things like that, you're pretty darn close to being ready to just go, take off and run with it, because I think there's enough there that you can be profitable right from the get-go, as long as you buy for the right price. And it just turned out a lot better than I thought I was going to be capable of producing. Not you, but me. I was like, I don't know if I can do this or not. Like, people kept asking me for it. But it's really been an awesome experience writing it, and I'm just glad that it's finally out for order.
It was amazing. Like, I felt my teeth, like, I felt my smile get bigger as soon as you started talking about it. Yeah. Have you ever worked just so hard on something and then you finished it, and like in one moment you're just like exhausted, but then you're like, whoa, I really did this. And it has turned out even better than for us, it's been even better than I imagined it would be. Right. And there are things in it that are different and better. One of the things I think is really cool design wise is In the table of contents, you can zip from table of contents to brand and back again because there's a new home screen.
That's cool.
Like it unclunkifies the whole PDF process because it's like 120 pages or something crazy.
It's like 125.
Yeah. But it's awesome. It's like this baby that I loved working on it. I think, you know, I'm going to try to get Steve on the channel at some point from my perspective, because fun fact, it's the first time he's ever collaborated with a woman.
There we go.
And let me tell you, this one was a handful.
So check out the link down below, guys. You can see a link to pre-order the jeans guide, and you know, you get it 50% off, which is a great deal. Like I said, that's available till October 31st. So if you're watching this video later, you may still have time, and the link will be in the description. One question here Joseph had, do you use a thermal printer? And if so, can you do a video on how to use it for shipping labels? I actually do use a thermal printer, but not for shipping labels. I probably should, Joseph, to be honest with you.
All the other kids are doing it.
Well, I love the half-page laser print, you know, laser printer label. I think it looks great. It fits nicely in the box on a padded flat rate. It's easily legible. But if I had a dual thermal printer, I could do that label as well as my inventory label. I could do both. Probably cheaper in the long run in terms of the label costs and so on, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And just for an efficiency and a cost aspect, I should probably do that. So you know what? I'm going to look into that. I got a lot of things on my plate right now, but I think it's a pretty cool idea.
So here's the promise. When we get that ability to label the labels on that thermal printer, we will most certainly do a video on how we do it.
Yes. One other thing I want to share with you guys too.
Oh, show and tell.
Just kind of the power of networking.
This is so cool.
Because we, as many of you guys know, if you've watched the show for a while, one of our good friends is Tiffany, who is down in South Carolina, has a huge eBay store. And she has about over 5,000 items listed and has been selling on eBay for ever. Like
almost 18 years. And she's working on a YouTube too, Flippin' Autistic.
Flippin' Autistic, right?
Really cool.
I think you can find that in maybe my likes channels. I'm not sure if I have that set to display or not. I can't remember. But when we were outsourcing with her, when was this? Like a few months ago?
We called it your birthday present.
Yeah, it was funny. I think it was one of the meetups we were doing here locally, and it was around the time of my birthday, but I don't think it wasn't my birthday. But she's like, "Oh, here's your birthday present," and she hands me this pair of shoes to sell, and I was like, "Oh, cool," you know. And I'm still a novice shoe seller at the best. But they did sell the other day, so I want to share that with you guys. A quick screen share.
This is so cool.
So you can see here, these were a pair of Kate Spade pumps that were black. I think my price on them would have been $5.
Yeah.
And they sold for $104 plus shipping, which is a pretty good flip. And I just want to say that, you know, and Kate Spade is a great name. These shoes were in great shape, by the way. They really were. They're very basic, but you know, they have one little nick, I think, on the heel, but other than that, and it was not really super noticeable. But I just want to say to you guys, like, that's kind of the power of networking, because I never would have met Tiffany if we hadn't started a YouTube channel and reached out, or she reached out to us. I don't remember the exact sequence of events, but I never would have met if I would just kind of stayed in the shadows. So I think it's important to make sure that you're networking with people in this community. You can learn things. Sometimes they can give you a cool gift. You know, I knew Kate Spade was a decent name, but I had no idea some of the pre-owned shoes would sell for, you know, $100. And I think you need to remember that if you don't network like that, you're shutting yourself off from a lot of great people out there that can help you in your business. They can teach you things that you don't know. That you might go in directions you never went. You know, would I have thought a year ago I would have sold a pair of Kate Spade heels? No. Would I have thought I would have sold them for $100? Heck no. But because, you know, she's become a friend of ours, you know, that did happen. And it's not really about the profit. It's more about, you know, having these connections to people is how you learn things. So because people all the time, I'll get a comment or two about once a week about, oh, you YouTubers giving away all the secrets about eBay and so on. which is just silly. I mean, there's no real secrets that aren't already way out there thousands of times. It's not like, I wish, it's kind of funny because I told you this the other day. I said, because the same people who complain about me giving away all the secrets, what was I said they did? Do you remember?
No.
She doesn't remember what I said. But the same people who complain about, you know, YouTubers and so on, resellers giving away those secrets, are also the same people who think that, you know, our advice is so amazing that we should keep it to ourselves. And I'm like, I'm not that influential.
Oh, but
like,
wait, they're watching this video to learn more.
Well, there's that too. There's a little bit of a hypocritical stance there as well.
Well, and you know what? If we didn't ever venture out, you see the folks that are in the chat right now, there's a couple of names that'll come up in blue with a wrench. We affectionately call those ladies our wrenches, with a R, not a W. I would never have met Hank. I would never have met Lauren. I would never have met a lot of the people that are part of our immediate circle. And, you know, when I was out in the Midwest, I went and I visited Lauren. Has been same with Hank when I was down south. Better after meeting these people. And I know, and I wanted to throw in another thing you learned as a result of like the meetups and going out with Tiffany and stuff. We never doubt her. Like she'll ever since we met her, she'll come up and like throw a pair of shoes at us or a dress or this or that. And it's just her heart. It's how she's wired. And we never doubt her anymore. You know, when we were at the last meetup, she threw a, what's that guy's name? The fancy shirt guy, the dress. Remember the dress she found?
Robert Graham?
Yeah, she found a dress, a Robert Graham dress. I've never even seen. Who knew Robert Graham made a dress?
Didn't even know they made women's clothes.
Gave it away. But we never doubt her. You know, if she picks it up, and it's like that with a lot of our friends in reselling that we adore. So, you know, people have knowledge. You know, one person does not know all of the thingies. So we've just been blessed by being able to, you know, compare notes and share with folks that just, we're better because of it.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be able to, I mean, this is reality, guys. If you want to learn things from other people who maybe are walking down paths you want to go down, it's not necessarily that they're doing it better than you. Maybe they're just doing it differently. You've got to be able to give some things back. And I feel like that. Like, I know there's a lot of people that I reach out to in this community with the videos that we do, and we don't hear from everyone, but we hear from a lot of people. And I know that's having impact. And those people have come back to us with things and suggestions and collaborations and ideas and networking in ways in which we never would have even dreamed of. None of that would have happened if we hadn't reached out with even this channel, because they would have never known we existed. So you've got to do that. I mean, that's just the way knowledge works. It's not like somebody has, I don't buy the argument that we're creating competition for ourselves. I mean, that's just silly. People are going to go get involved in things, whether I'm making a video about it or not.
It's all your fault.
Yeah, like my videos crashed, you know, the market for jeans on eBay or something. I mean, that is just silly. I don't have that kind of influence. And even collectively, all the reselling channels that are out there don't have that kind of influence. Because if you even added up all the subscribers and the people who watch regularly, which is not all the subscribers, by the way, it's a smaller number. I mean, we're talking a pretty small number. And even if they all went and started selling one item, a lot of them would give up. A lot would quit. A lot would find it was too hard. And by the way, guys, don't forget, the market can grow too. We always think the market's static. We think, oh, only sellers come into a market. Buyers come into markets too. Buyer markets get expanded as well. So it's not just seller markets. And people forget about that side of it. And the online marketplace is not done growing by a long shot. There's entire countries out there that don't buy online hardly at all. And those are markets just waiting to be opened up. Tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people and consumers. So I still don't get worried about all that stuff. I know some people do, but I just think it's wasted energy. And I've probably already spent too much time talking about it.
Probably so. But we can appreciate that reselling can be a solitary endeavor. So we're just saying that by virtue of this chat, by virtue of the meetups that we've been blessed to conduct and attend, that becomes our workplace water cooler or social outing opportunity or whatever. And that helps us keep our balance. Oh, I came full circle. Did everybody see that? That speaks to how we keep our business and all of it in check, in
Yep.
balance. And that is a part of what we do and why we do it.
Yep, absolutely. So I hope this was helpful, guys, and you guys can think about these balance questions going forward. I do think they're important, but I don't think you just find balance by saying, I'm just going to find balance. You've got to take a little time and think about what's important to you, and then make those decisions about how to proceed.
Be honest and be specific.
Yep, because you're not fooling anybody but yourself if you're not honest or specific. All right, so I think that's going to do it for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Kaaren, what should they do if they like the content?
Oh, well, they should share it. They should like it, thumbs up it. Leave comments down below, because that's our time capsule. If you have it in your mind that it's a question, then I'm guarantee you somebody else does. So let's pay it forward and put it, document it forever.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, take care. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you real soon.
And this is Just Ask Kaaren.
Prop sales.
Saying good sales to you.